everybody, and welcome to the conversation. I want to give a big welcome to all of our new friends. So now we're going to be talking about relationships. And as you know, whenever you're dealing with relationships, it always starts from the top to the bottom. When I say top, I'm talking about that mental mindset. So recently I watched a show called Love and Marriage. Have you all heard of it? No? Some? Mm-hmm. Yes? Okay. In Love and Marriage, there was a counselor who basically said that self-study is the most important study on the planet. And what he got from that was saying that sometimes in relationships, we put so much focus on studying your partner that we don't necessarily put the study back on us. So then we have a lot of pushback and conflict in between the two. So my question to you guys is, do you think mental stability is an important aspect to maintaining a healthy relationship?
I would not use the word stability. I would say the word understanding. Say that because we have internal triggers and external triggers. And to your point, we've mapped out all of the external triggers, right? We do a good job on it. It's a big industry. We don't do a very good job of talking about our internal triggers, the things that, I'm going to say trigger, the things that make us happy, the things that make us sad, how we perceive things in our childhood, how we perceive our present, how we perceive our future. So understanding that map and how we present that to the world is a much better place than saying, hey, I'm stable, because stable is relative.
Yeah.
You guys all got it.
Anybody else?
And I think just to tie onto that, having that communication open between one another to be able to talk about that stuff is really important. Because I think once you're able to talk about that and everyone is aware, it can also allow for, once you have that awareness, you're able to support one another when things occur. And so I think communication along with talking about that is super helpful.
Well, to piggyback off of what you're saying in terms of like studying yourself and supporting one another, I think that the self-study is really important simply because you don't even know how you want the other person to support you if you're not aware of yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you're not aware of yourself, you may not, it's a lot of times when we're in bad relationships and we're in the wrong relationship, even if it might seem like the person's a good person, but it's not that they're good for you because you're not having an understanding of yourself. And then you have two people that aren't even supposed to be together, constantly butting heads because they don't really know who they are to know what they want.
Mm-hmm. So it's like honest self-reflection, just really looking at yourself and realizing, knowing what your shit is and being willing to accept other person's and, your personal experiences and your baggage, and you're bringing all that to try to bring to a relationship. So you really need to look at yourself and like you said, not use instability, because if you're unstable, you don't need to be with anybody.
Right.
You need to be by yourself. Like, please be by yourself.
Figure it out. You see a lot in a lot of relationships now is that people, they're so consumed with like having to be in a relationship that they never take the time to be by themselves and understand themselves. Mm-hmm. And then that's why we have so many toxic relationships, especially within our community. Because I don't know about you guys, but I know from a Black family, we were raised to know that, okay, you get married, you have kids, you stick it out, whatever private issues that you guys are having, that's, that stays at home. That's not something that you work on, it's just, you pray to God and you keep it moving, just to save face. And that's not necessarily like a healthy habit,
Yeah, and I think it's important too, when you understand yourself, it really helps you to communicate with the other person what's going on, because sometimes they may internalize it like, okay, is it me? Like, am I making you act like this? Right. Rather than, they're just experiencing a trigger or something you said may have affected them in a certain way, and they can communicate like, hey, I really don't like when you say this, or I really don't like when you do certain things. That triggered me in a certain type of way. I know Shakira and I, in our friendship, not even just, we're not in a relationship, but even as friends.
And that's what it is. It's not even just relationships. It could be friendships as well.
And as we've gone through the journey of getting to know ourselves more, and it helps us to interact with other people, like, you know what, when someone talks about, this, I want to slap you. And maybe that's just not good for me. It's not you. It's me, internally. But if we want to make this work, let's not talk about that.
Right. Definitely.
No, I agree.
So for those that are in the, what did you say, understanding mindset, I would say, what should be the expectations of your partner as it correlates to healing and support? Like, how should we help that? None? You said no expectations?
None.
I think that everybody is not mentally stable. No, there's no such thing. I think that certain people are toxic to certain people. So I really don't think that anybody's mentally stable. Like if you really deep down and dig into people, they
Everybody
really
has
have
trauma.
issues that they deal with personally and privately. And I think that certain people, just like she said, trigger certain insecurities or certain mental issues, and therefore it comes out, and some people are very, very toxic to each other, whereas they might not be toxic in the next relationship, as toxic at least. But I do think that everybody has mental issues. That's just my personal opinion.
To kind of piggyback on what you were saying and what you were saying about as far as like the understanding as far as like what type of support someone may need, I think it's just understanding and knowing like at the end of the day it's about the invisible hand. So if I'm not giving and doing what's best for myself, then at the end of the day I'm overextending myself to my partner regardless because I'm not doing what's best for me. And when you're not doing what's best for you, you're not doing what's best for anybody. Your kids, your family, anyone. And so I think everything has to start with self. And like you were saying, like it goes back to knowing yourself and not expecting someone to be able to deal with your crap or to fill those voids. Because you have to make yourself happy first. And then you can move on to other people's needs, just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If I don't have my basic needs, then I can't move up the chain to even self-fulfillment.
I will say though that I don't think you should expect anybody to be your peace. Your peace has to be within yourself. You shouldn't expect anybody to create your happiness. Your happiness should exist within yourself. But from somebody who has experienced depression and anxiety, I expect from my partner to support me when I'm having like a mood, if I'm in a mood or if I'm having like an anxiety attack. I don't expect for him to just be like, all right, well, good luck with that sis, and let me know when it's over.
But that's what you need to do. We need to be responsible. If we are in relationships, we have to be responsible to each other in the relationship, but not responsible for the outcome. And a lot of times we become codependent in that, just as men as women, we quote, I am a good man, I am a good woman, and that ego investment says, no matter what, my ego or my goodness can cover that person's flaws, and that's why I say, so when you say there are no expectations, if you are sick, that's great, be sick. I will walk with you to, through these episodes, but if you start to spin out like a Tasmanian devil, you can go and sit over in the corner until you stop spinning.
Right, I think that I do agree with what you're saying in terms of that regard, whereas the expectation shouldn't be for you to fix the outcome, but more so for you to support as I fix it myself, as I am coming to my own outcome, to hold my hand as I walk through this journey.
Because we can't have the baby for you, but we could help you.
I have these contractions, okay? It's painful, so just breathe
Like I said, it's communication. It's just like you said, some people it triggers for you, some people just set you off, and just communicating that from the beginning. Like, when you do this, it makes me feel like this. Just being honest with that from the beginning, and just knowing that, like the wording, I don't ever want to be responsible for healing somebody. Like that's too much for anybody to carry. Like I'll support you with, I'll go through it with you, but healing you, like I can't deal with that.
Some people I fight all day with, and then some people it's like I can't fight even if I wanted to. It's like, oh, you made me mad because I can't even argue with you. So it's just like some people really trigger the toxicity in somebody, and then some people just don't. It's like,
I will say to piggyback off of that though, that I feel like people also have to keep in mind, some people are more easily triggered than others though as well. So it's like, even though like I might not trigger you, but if you are an easily triggered person, I might not be somebody who triggers you, but if every little thing triggers you, then it doesn't matter who you are, because it's like, it doesn't matter what somebody says, what somebody does. It's like, oh no, I don't like that, or that upsets me, or, you know, that makes me angry. And it's like, I just said good morning. What I do wrong? So being like aware of how many triggers you have, and if you're being realistic with who can even deal with that romantically or platonically.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think being just aware of your own personal triggers will just allow you to be a better person in the world. Because I know sometimes, like, when my money ain't right, I'm not going out, I'm not going to the bar, I'm not going with friends, because guess what, I can't do what I want to do and participate in other things. Or if I don't, you know, feel like I look right in my clothes, okay, like let me go to the gym for a few weeks before I really invest and put myself around those type of situations. And small things like that really trigger. Someone could just be like, ooh, that shirt kind of tight on you, and you done snapped. You're not realizing that you're dealing self-consciously with your actual weight, and someone's making that statement has made you feel a certain type of way. So it's like being conscious of that and being able to step back and be like, you know what, I don't need to be in this environment right now. This is gonna pull a toxic trigger out for me. Yes.
Right. Fantasia was recently criticized in the media talking about, and I know all y'all
I've been waiting on this.
And she was basically talking about how, you know, why women can't get a man or keep a man. And it's because they're too busy trying to be the leader or the head of the household. So my question and I really want to pose this more so to the men, is what does it look like when a man leads a household on a day-to-day? And I'll start with you.
All right, so we're going day-to-day. So,
I'm getting my notes ready.
take this is way easier than y'all think, but we have a tendency to take something easy and complicate it. Okay, so I will say, you know, so when a man is leading a house, a man is on his purpose. He is doing the things that he is set on this earth to do. Okay? And that's it. So it doesn't matter if you're a plumber, a baker, a janitor, a bus driver, engineer, it doesn't matter. If a man is on his purpose, you ladies can decide, do I want to be a part of that? And if I want to be a part of that, there are some simple costs to be married to a janitor, a lawyer, an executive, and then that's it. Okay?
I got a little more than
we get in trouble. No,
Occupations?
seriously, we get in trouble when we put
expectations.
not expectations. We flip it around. We try to, you know what? I did it. Where you go, hey, you know what? She's tight. I want her, and she may not fit into my purpose. Okay, but I want that. But I want that. Okay, and then we try to fit that into there, and she, you know what? She looks great. She looks great in a dress. And man, you know what? She feels, you know, my toes curl and all that. However, she's a disaster everywhere else. But we go, man, you know what? Everything else is a disaster. But man, 1 time out of 10, man, we're going to get this thing going. It's going to be right. But she's coming to your job in flip-flops trying to get you fired. Right? And so that's when we have to you know, flip that model around.
What was you going to say?
Go ahead.
I mean, about leading the house, I think it's like you got to be self-aware and go into the relationship and understand maybe where your weaknesses are and where her strengths are. You know what I mean? It's about communicating, and it's not going in thinking like, oh, just because I'm the man, I have to take out the trash and do certain X, Y, and Z. And since she's the woman, she's got to do A, B, and C. It's about, like, that's why I was talking about expectations, not going in like having a predetermined outcome of how things are supposed to be. It's going in and building together, saying, okay, I can help out with this. You help out with here, help out with this. I'll do this on Wednesday. If this will give you peace, all right, well then I need for you to do this to give me peace. And it's just about communicating and being self-aware.
So for me, you know, my big thing is always about providing, right? And so it's not always, you know, I need to make more money than you. You know, you can provide being unemployed. It's not ideal, but you know, if you at home, or you know, wash the dishes, make sure she comes home, she can be comfortable. And it's just really works for you. So to me, it is, you know, being the person that she can trust to let her guard down
and be someone that she can follow, because everybody don't need to be followed. So, you know, are you the type of person that she can feel comfortable following? And if you're not, that's okay. Like, it goes back to the first question, get your shit together.
Right.
And be someone that somebody can't follow.
Absolutely, because somebody will lead you right into a ditch, and then you have to
But it was a fun ride. I know how you do.
Okay, also recently in the news, Erica Campbell did an interview and she was basically talking about masturbation and how she feels as though it's unpure. I know we have a couple of married and we had a couple of singles and we have a couple of, you know, about to bees. What are you guys' viewpoint on like masturbation? Like, should you masturbate while you're a couple, or is that like rude to your partner? Is that like, I personally feel like get it how you fit it, you know?
I agree.
But religion has a lot of people, they pose that it's okay for the man to do it, but not necessarily the woman. So what are you guys' viewpoint on that?
I believe Miss Campbell has a right to her opinion. But I have my rechargeable vibrator in my drawer, thank you.
Who is Erica Campbell?
Oh, you're saying who is she?
No, I said like literally like who is she?
Right.
What authority does she give to?
To say that.
No, all of that. I have no idea who she is.
So she's married.
Why is her name Erica?
Oh, don't worry about it. Also,
Said the branding is terrible.
on Having to Hold, there was this couple, and basically they had a house rule for their marriage, meaning that every 48 hours they had to have sex. So, what is considered a healthy relationship? Because men can go, sometimes if you give them 5 days without sex, like a period is like way too long. They're like, where's my head at? Like, you can still fuck. You know, there's always something. So what is considered a healthy sex life?
How old are they?
And just in general, like you, based off of your experience.
Listen, I've been going like, I've been in the game 20 years almost, so it's like, I don't need to go 5 times every 48 hours. Like, I'm good, you know, for the most part. Just, you know, whenever we both feeling it, cool, but be obligated by 48 hours, like, that's stupid.
Yeah, because then it feels like a job.
Yeah, like
we can masturbate in between.
yeah, exactly.
We can break it up.
But I think there is no cookie cutter answer to that, because everybody's sex drive is different. And I mean, stereotypically, people say that men's sex drive is higher, but some women whose sex drive surpass, you know, their men's. And so I feel like for
And
Y'all
stress
are
plays a big
disgusting.
part.
I love it.
okay, well.
What do you do when you're trying to match your partner's sex drive and y'all are not on the same page?
Well, that's where that communication comes in.
Absolutely.
I can't do it right now. Just come back later.
So-
But you have to be real about compromise too,
Right.
because it's like if your partner has a really high sex drive and yours is really low, both of y'all have to like adjust your expectations and know that you're not going to get it all the time, but then also know that you're going to have to sometimes, especially like if you're married, if you're in a long-term committed relationship, like sometimes, you know, like, can you do it in 5 minutes? Like so we can, I'll give it to you, but you got to be done in 5 minutes. So we
like, who wants to-
like
who
you
wants
have
to
to.
do that?
I mean,
Yeah, I
sometimes
feel
if you go 5 days, 5 minutes might
So,
seem.
I don't want to get too far off topic. So, a question though: if you feel like somebody doesn't match you sexually, does that mean
Is it a
that?
deal breaker?
No, not even a deal breaker. But I mean, like, is that person necessarily right for you? Because that just bleeds into all your other stuff. So it's like,
That's correct.
That's a good
I
question.
promise you.
I think it depends.
it depends. It shouldn't be your number one, but it's like if your communication ain't right, or if your sex life ain't right, if all these things aren't right, but if
Well, you
that's
need to
one
walk.
thing, like that's one thing right there that's already eating at. It's like, okay, this ain't right, but that's gonna bleed into something else though.
So I think we all came to the assumption that communication is definitely key. It's okay to masturbate. Get your toy, girl, or get your sleeve, boy, and keep it pushing. And there's no healthy sex drive. But thank you guys for coming for our conversation.